Hey guys, Matt here. Welcome to Learn to Discern. As Christians, we know that the Bible very clearly tells us that we need to stay away from the love of money. But we need to ask the question, what exactly is the love of money? Isn't that when somebody just wants to be really rich? Well, it could be that, but it's also much more. That's what we're going to discuss in today's video. But before we get to our teaching, if you guys want to help promote Christian content here on YouTube, please go ahead and take a second now to subscribe to my channel, and thank you in advance. Okay guys, so we're here in Matthew chapter 6, and we want to take a look at what Jesus has to say about money and about earthly possessions, and we hope to do so that we might have a better understanding of what it looks like or what it means to have love of money in your life. So we're going to start in verse 19. This first little section is going to make a lot of sense. It says, "Do not lay up for yourselves treasures on earth where moth and rust destroy and where thieves break in and steal, but lay up for yourselves treasure in heaven where neither moth nor rust destroys and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." So obviously don't concern yourself with earthly treasures. Focus your time, your attention, your energy on heavenly things, eternal things, things that matter a bunch. Now, this next section, it talks about the eye being the lamp of the body, which is really another way of saying where you focus your priorities and your affections and your attention. It's saying the same thing. And then it finishes off here in verse 24. It says, "No one can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or he will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and money." So again, the meaning is pretty straightforward, but here are some things that I want to point out. So you notice at the very end, it says, you cannot serve God and money. So you cannot serve the key word here, God and money. You have to choose. You're going to give your time, your affections, your attention to one or the other, but you can't serve them both. Now, earlier in the verse, it says, "No one can serve two masters, for he will either hate the one and love the other, or he will be devoted to the one and despise the other." So notice, you will be devoted or you will despise. So it's about devotion. So it's you cannot serve God, okay, and money, okay, and you cannot be devoted. So serving and devoted, being devoted. But what about love? Now, this is what I want you to think about. In our modern culture, when people talk about love, so if you talk about the love of anything, people primarily think about an emotion. Is that the way that the Bible typically talks about love? No, it is not, especially with this word. Maybe you've heard of agape love. That's the same root that's at play here. The love that is being spoken of is a sacrificial sort of love. So you demonstrate biblical agape love when you are sacrificing on behalf of somebody else. Well, when you think about that, then you start to recognize that love of money is more than just some sort of emotional, attractional pull towards money. So certainly if somebody says like, "Oh, I love money and I want to get rich," yeah, that is love of money, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that. If you are devoted to money, or if you are serving money, biblically speaking, you have love of money. Even if your end goal is not just, "I want to acquire great masses of wealth for myself." And now look at what Jesus says right after this. Very interesting, because we get to this section about not being anxious. And he says, "Therefore," that means in light of what he just said, "I tell you, do not be anxious about your life, what you will eat or what you will drink, nor about your body, what you will put on. Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothing?" So he's been talking about not storing up treasures for yourself in heaven. And certainly you could think about that in light of somebody, or in terms of somebody who really has a strong desire to be rich. They are greedy for gain. Maybe they just want to acquire great possessions for themselves. It's all very selfish. But now he's saying, therefore, don't be anxious about what you will eat or drink. That's not necessarily somebody who is thinking about living in a mansion or a yacht. That could be somebody who's in very, very poor economic conditions, and they are just trying to settle that out. They're trying to work it out in their life. But he is saying you should not be anxious about those sorts of things. Why? Because if you get anxious and you are not trusting God to provide for your needs and trust that He will give you exactly what you need, it may not be as much as you think you need, but He will give you exactly what you need. If you don't embrace that, then you can start to serve the money. And biblically speaking, that is love of money. So think of it this way. Somebody is in financial debt, so they are not living in a mansion. They don't want to live in a mansion. They're just in a bad financial spot and they want to get out of it. Is it okay for that person to sit and say, I'd like to come up with a plan to figure out if I can budget and do certain things that will help me to be a good steward of God's finances to get out of my financial situation? Sure, that's great. There's nothing problematic with that. However, if it becomes that you start stressing out and getting anxious and getting worried, and all of your time and your attention is just focused on money, you are now serving money. You are now loving money because you are looking to money to fix your situation rather than looking to God. So again, you could plan for certain things, but you should ultimately be saying, God, here are some things I'm thinking through. I want to be a good steward. Lord, would you please help me to trust in you? When we get anxious and we get worked up and we start orienting our lives around the pursuit of money, even if it's not to accrue wealth, but just to maybe clean up some financial issues we have, we could be living in the love of money. So I just wanted to point that out, something that I haven't really thought very deeply about before. That biblically speaking, love of money doesn't just have to be you're trying to get super rich. It can be something else. And we want to trust God with our finances. We want to make wise decisions. We absolutely want to have treasure in heaven, not focus on the things of earth. But we want to make sure that we're not worrying. We're not being anxious. God is a good Father and He will provide for His children. Okay, guys, I hope today's teaching was helpful to you. If it was and you want to help get content like this out to more people on the internet, please go ahead and take a second now to subscribe to my channel. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, God bless.